off here. Now, that was a little longer than a minute, but you get the idea. I was able to hold it steady at a certain RPM range and then sweep load on the dyno. It makes it a little bit easier to populate these tables out, as you'll find if you're trying to do this without a chassis dyno, but it's still possible to be able to dial this in. I find, just as a kind of a tip, let me go ahead and stop this real quick. I find, as a tip, if you're trying to populate out some of your higher RPM, higher load, depending on what gear you're going to be in, you can change the reference points in terms of if you downshift, go to lower gear, go to a higher gear to sweep to the table. That'll help. Also, going up a hill helps greatly. It allows you to modulate your throttle to be able to give it more or less input to change your map pressure, your load going into your engine. Your map pressure changes as a function of load. So going up a hill makes things a lot easier, or an incline that's pretty gradual as you're going up. It makes things a little bit easier to dial this in. But I usually head for some type of a long hill if I don't have a chassis dyno available to get things sorted out. So hopefully that helps a little bit. Now, what we can see here is that we have a percentage of error. Now this percentage of error here is roughly 10%, I would say, just kind of looking at this. Here the error is pretty close. We're not really that far off. Up here we're a decent amount off. And this is really just the part throttle. So essentially 100, 120 kPa, that's the onset of boost. What we want to do is go in here and correct some things. Now we could look at the data and we could kind of spot a trend if we're looking at this. We could say from 500 to roughly 2500, kind of averaging this data out, just kind of looking at all the numbers here. This is about maybe 7-8% off. We could just highlight the whole section here, even from 2750, and go in and scale down the table about 7-8%. And that would get us pretty close. And that might be the approach I take here. Or we could copy this. We could literally copy this, a whole table, and we could do right-click copy, and we could go into the speed density calculator on the map point 0, and we could do a paste multiply % option. That will also be a valid way to do this. Now, sometimes that might make the tables a little bit unsmooth and kind of choppy. Sometimes hand-fitting the data is a little bit better. So that's actually what I'm going to do here. I'm going to grab all of these values. And again, looking at this, I'm going to say it's off by roughly 7-8% overall. So I'm going to go into my table here, go into the calculator. Again, paying attention to the details, map point 0, we need to focus on that. We're going to go here in this range, 500 to 2750, just what we've highlighted here. I'm going to go across the whole table, even in boost. And I'm going to go 0.9. I'm going to take out 0.92. I'll take out 8%, just a little bit conservative. Now, going back in here, 3000 from roughly maybe 15 to roughly 78 kPa. Probably have to take out again, kind of just citing up these percentages we're seeing here. That's probably averaging about a 5 to 7% difference. So let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to go and change that in the table. 3000 to roughly 35, 15 to roughly, we'll check where we're at here, 78. It's right here. I'm going to go and take out 5. And then we're going to go to 35. Here, it's not off that much. I'm probably going to leave this alone. And then here's where we have a pretty large difference right here. I'm going to say 3750 and above, all the way down into boost here. I'm going to say that this we need to take out roughly, let's say 8% to be kind of conservative here, just mixing up the values that we see. So we're going to go here, tone that down about 8%. Now, we're going to go calculate coefficients, and then we can go check our work in the table. Now notice we have these two kind of spiky points right here. That is actually in the table stock, some of these values here. And actually looking at that, after I calculated coefficients, it looked like that might have brought those in here. So let's smooth those out. So go here, go here. Let's take a look. A little bit better. So now what we're going to do here is upload this file, and we're going to go and just verify that what we've changed is going to work. So we take depending on where we're at here, we're taking about 8-10% out, and we're just going to make sure that that percentage of error between the calculated and the actual is closer. As long as we're good there, we'll move on to the next map point, and we're going to continue that process going all through map points 0 to 7. That's the map points we're going to be calling on, going from optimal stability to economy, and then optimal power, we can deal with that at the very end. Let's go ahead and check this out here. So I'm gonna go and flash this real quick, and I'm going to actually go in here to log. I'm gonna save this real quick, and I'll just call this MP0SD tuning. And we're gonna disconnect from the scanner. I'm gonna go ahead and flash it real quick here, and we're gonna go and test this out. And again, this process is time consuming. There's no quick way around dialing in the speed density tables because we have all these map points, we have all this essentially area we have to cover in the tables, so it does take a bit of time. Now, the good news is that once you've dialed in, let's say a combination between your mass airflow and the speed density tables for a given modification, so this Whipple kit, you can then use the template applicator to build a file to be able to go and import to the next car with a very similar set of modifications, greatly speeding up your calibration process. You might have to go in to do a quick spot check on a couple map points to make sure things are good, but once you've done the hard work, you can replicate that very quickly. So the tables that I started with here were reasonably close, but they do require a little bit of hand fitting here, so that's what we're doing. So we're gonna go ahead and let this finish flashing. As soon as it's completed, I'll go in, we'll check our work, make sure things are a little bit better. Might be some changes we need to make, but we'll see how it's gonna go. And then we'll continue on dialing in the rest of the map points and see how that process is gonna go. Again, very straightforward, very simple, but we're just going through this method of using the VCM scanner, using the math channels to be able to calculate that percentage of difference, and then correcting our error. All right, I'll be back here as soon as this can finish flashing, and we'll continue on with the process. All right, so the flash has been completed. Let's click close here. Let's go ahead and fire it up real quick. And we're gonna
Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.